Hi everyone. Welcome to English Story School. Have you ever felt like giving up? Like the pain is too much to bear and the journey too long to endure? What if I told you that this suffering is exactly what will shape you into the person you're meant to be? That the hardest moments of your life are the very ones that will give you the power to dominate in ways you never imagined? Today, we're diving into a powerful truth. No pain, no power. Suffer now, dominate forever. Think about this for a second. What if the pain you feel today is the key to your strength tomorrow? What if enduring the struggle now will lead you to the kind of success that others only dream about? Chapter 1. The Seed of Struggle. Let me take you back to a moment in the life of Alex, an athlete whose dreams were far bigger than the circumstances he was born into. From the very first time Alex stepped onto a basketball court, he was hooked. The feel of the ball in his hands, the echo of the sneakers on the polished floor, the rush of competing, it was all part of a vision that drove him. But there was one problem. Alex wasn't the biggest player. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the most naturally talented. In fact, he was often the last one to be picked during team selections. His teammates, with their smoother moves and more honed skills, always seemed to be ahead of him. Yet, something deep inside Alex refused to accept mediocrity. Every day, he faced the stark reality of his shortcomings. While others soared effortlessly, Alex found himself in the shadows, battling his own limitations. His body wasn't built for speed, and his agility was far behind the others. There were days when his legs felt like they were made of lead, his muscles aching with the strain of overexertion. The frustration built inside him as he watched others rise while he seemed to stay stuck, struggling to catch up. But what set Alex apart wasn't his natural talent. It was his mindset. Every time he missed a shot, every time his body screamed for relief, he reminded himself of one simple truth. This pain will pay off. The pain wasn't an enemy. It was the gateway to transformation. Every drop of sweat, every bruise, every sore muscle was an investment in his future. He wasn't just training his body. He was training his mind, building an unshakable resolve. Day after day, Alex pushed himself to the limits. He woke up at 5 a.m. when others were still asleep, determined to get in that extra hour of practice. He stayed late after team sessions, working on his shooting, his dribbling, his conditioning, anything to make up for what he lacked. The pain, both physical and mental, became his constant companion. The soreness in his muscles, the frustration of not seeing immediate results, the loneliness of watching others excel while he struggled, it all became part of his daily grind. But Alex had something they didn't have: belief. He believed in the power of suffering, in the truth that pain wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign of growth. He knew that the grind wouldn't be easy. There were times when he would collapse onto the court, feeling defeated, unsure if the hours of practice were even making a difference. But every time he felt like giving up, he remembered the bigger picture. He wasn't just playing for the here and now. He was playing for the future. Every ounce of pain he endured, every second he spent training, was another step closer to becoming the player he dreamed of being. As the seasons passed, something started to shift. Alex's body began to change. He grew stronger, more resilient. His stamina increased, his reflexes sharpened. His movements became more fluid, and his skills started to catch up with the rest of the team. But what truly set him apart was his mental toughness. While others may have been gifted with talent, Alex had something even more powerful: a relentless will to never quit. He wasn't the fastest player, but he became the toughest. He wasn't the most naturally gifted, but he was the one who kept showing up day after day, no matter how hard it got. In the moments of intense competition, when the pressure mounted and the stakes were high, it wasn't just his physical strength that made the difference. It was his resilience, his determination to keep going, even when everything in his body screamed to stop, became his superpower. It was in those moments when his team needed him the most that Alex rose to the occasion. When others faltered, he remained unbroken. When others hesitated, he attacked. And it wasn't just about winning. It was about proving to himself that every ounce of suffering had been worth it. As the years went on, Alex's dedication began to bear fruit. His skills sharpened, his confidence grew, and his reputation on the court soared. He wasn't just another player on the team. He became one of the most respected athletes in his league. His name became synonymous with hard work, grit, and determination. But the path to success was never easy. It was a constant battle, one that required sacrifices Alex was willing to make. He had learned that the pain wasn't just part of the process. It was the process. Without the struggle, there was no strength. Without the sacrifice, there was no greatness. Alex had transformed, not just into a better player, but into someone who understood the value of perseverance. He was no longer the player who feared failure. He was the player who embraced it, knowing that each failure was simply another step toward his ultimate goal. Every time he fell, every time he was knocked down, he got back up stronger, more determined, with a clearer vision of who he was becoming. His journey wasn't about the accolades or the championships. It was about proving to himself that he was capable of greatness, despite the obstacles, despite the pain. The pain had made him powerful. It had sharpened his focus, hardened his resolve, and built a mental toughness that no one could take away from him. And that power? It helped him dominate the game. Chapter 2. Embracing the hardship. Sarah's story is different but just as powerful. She was an aspiring entrepreneur with big dreams, visions of building a business that could change the world. But like every entrepreneur, Sarah had to face the cold truth. Success doesn't come easy. It's not handed to you on a silver platter, no matter how bright your ideas or how determined you are. The reality was much tougher than Sarah had anticipated. For months, Sarah worked tirelessly on her startup. She stayed up late, poring over every detail, every aspect of her business. She researched, learned, and implemented the best practices. She took risks, put everything on the line, and sacrificed her personal time to make her dream a reality. But despite her relentless work ethic, nothing seemed to fall into place. The product she had created, one she had believed in so fiercely, wasn't selling. The website, designed to showcase her brand, crashed repeatedly, leaving her frustrated and helpless. And the investor she had hoped would see her vision, the one she had so carefully pitched to, kept saying no. Each rejection felt like a blow to her confidence. Each failed attempt felt like the universe was reminding her how difficult this path would be. Sarah would sit at her desk at night, staring at the blank screen of her computer, feeling the weight of failure pressing down on her chest. She would sometimes wonder if it was all worth it, if the sleepless nights, the stress, and the constant battle against self-doubt were really leading anywhere. Her body screamed for rest, and her mind begged for a break. The exhaustion was unbearable. There were days when she felt she couldn't continue, when quitting seemed like the easiest option. But deep down, Sarah knew something crucial. The path to success was paved with pain, frustration, and struggle. She wasn't just building a business, she was building herself. And with each setback, she reminded herself of her mantra: no pain, no power. Suffer now, dominate forever. Sarah understood that there were no shortcuts. She wasn't going to get the business she dreamed of by avoiding the hardship. The struggle was the key to her growth, and she had to embrace it. Rather than succumbing to her frustrations, she used them as fuel. She dug deeper, searching within herself for the strength to keep going. Every time she felt like giving up, she forced herself to take one more step. She worked harder, smarter, and with more focus than ever before. One particularly tough week, Sarah reached her breaking point. Her frustration peaked, and the weight of everything seemed unbearable. But instead of throwing in the towel, she decided to use that moment of desperation to ignite her determination. She took a step back, reflected on everything she had accomplished, and reminded herself why she started in the first place. Sarah wasn't just building a business. She was fighting for her future. She couldn't afford to quit. She couldn't afford to let the setbacks define her. Slowly but surely, things started to shift. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but Sarah noticed that her efforts were starting to bear fruit. The business didn't suddenly skyrocket, but she began to see progress. One small victory at a time, things started to click. She refined her marketing strategy, reached new customers, and optimized her website. The same struggles that once felt like insurmountable barriers now became stepping stones toward her success. Every failure was no longer a roadblock. It was a lesson. Every rejection wasn't an end, but a new opportunity for growth. As Sarah's business began to grow, she realized that the most important lesson she had learned wasn't about making money or gaining popularity. It was about resilience. It was about having the strength to keep moving forward when everything around her seemed to be falling apart. She had endured the pain, embraced the struggle, and learned to rise above the challenges. The growth she had experienced was not just in her business. It was in herself. She had become someone who no longer shied away from hardship, but someone who used it to fuel her passion. Sarah's journey taught her that true power lies not in avoiding suffering, but in learning how to navigate through it. The struggles she faced were not signs that she wasn't cut out for this. They were proof that she was on the right path. Every obstacle she overcame made her stronger, more focused, and more determined to succeed. She knew that the road to her dreams wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that the hardest part was already behind her. She had suffered, and now she was ready to dominate. No longer afraid of the challenges ahead, Sarah faced the future with a sense of power and control that she had never felt before. The hardships she had endured had shaped her into a stronger, more capable version of herself. She had transformed from someone who was constantly battling self-doubt into a woman who knew her worth and was willing to fight for her dreams. Sarah had become a testament to the fact that success doesn't come without sacrifice. It doesn't come without struggle. But it does come to those who are willing to push through the pain, who are willing to stand up when the world tells them to sit down. And with that newfound strength, Sarah's business began to thrive in ways she had only dreamed of. The pain had made her powerful. Now, that power was taking her where she had always known she could go, straight to the top. In embracing the hardship, Sarah had found her true strength. She had learned that every setback was an opportunity to rise higher. Now, she was no longer afraid of failure. She was no longer afraid of the work it took to succeed. Sarah was ready to take on the world, and nothing could stop her. No pain, no power. Suffer now, dominate forever. This was no longer just a mantra. It was the truth she lived by every single day, and she was determined to make it the foundation of her success. Chapter 3: The Power of Perseverance. Let's shift gears and talk about Michael, a man who had reached the point of nearly giving up on his dreams. For years, he had been chasing a vision of becoming a top-tier software developer, a dream that had pushed him through countless late nights, learning sessions, and endless lines of code. But despite his tireless work, his journey had been anything but easy. Every project he attempted ended in failure. Every line of code that didn't work felt like a personal blow. His confidence had been shattered over time, and the weight of his constant struggles began to wear him down. He questioned himself often, wondering if he was cut out for this. He asked himself repeatedly, is it even worth it? Michael was at a crossroads. The excitement and passion that once fueled his journey now seemed like distant memories, replaced by frustration and self-doubt. He had tried and failed so many times, each failure stacking on top of the last, each one feeding the negative voices in his head. Every bug in the code, every crash in his programs felt like evidence that he was just not good enough. He watched his peers advance, making strides in their careers, landing jobs in top tech companies, while he remained stuck in the same place, endlessly debugging and reworking his ideas. The dream that had once felt so attainable now seemed out of reach. One evening, after another failed attempt to get his latest project off the ground, Michael sat alone in front of his computer, staring at a screen full of error messages. The weight of everything hit him all at once, and for a moment he considered walking away from it all. Maybe he wasn't meant to be a software developer. Maybe his dream was just that, a dream, nothing more. But then something inside him shifted. He remembered why he started in the first place. He remembered the spark of excitement that had ignited his passion for coding. It wasn't about immediate results or external validation. It was about creating something that had never existed before, about solving problems and making the world a little bit better with his skills. In that moment, Michael had a realization. Every failure wasn't a dead end. It was just a step closer to his goal. The pain, the frustration, the sleepless nights, these weren't signs to quit. They were signs that he was moving in the right direction. The process was messy, it was hard, but it was also the only way forward. Michael started to embrace the pain. He stopped viewing his failures as failures and started seeing them as lessons. Each bug, each setback, each error was a valuable piece of information that would guide him closer to the solution. He was no longer running from the struggle. Instead, he chose to face it head-on, understanding that each moment of difficulty had the potential to shape him into the developer he wanted to become. The next few months were a test of his perseverance. Michael's routine didn't change. He continued to work late into the night, diving deep into his projects, learning new techniques, and applying everything he had learned from his past mistakes. It wasn't easy. In fact, it often felt like an uphill battle. Some nights, the frustration seemed overwhelming, and the thought of walking away lingered in his mind. But every time he hit a wall, he reminded himself of his new perspective. He had chosen to embrace the struggle, to learn from the pain, and to keep pushing forward, no matter how hard it got. As the weeks passed, the transformation in Michael's approach became clear. He stopped focusing on the end result and started focusing on the process, the journey itself. He learned to enjoy the little victories. When a piece of code finally worked, when he solved a particularly tricky problem, when he made a breakthrough that pushed his project forward. These small wins became his fuel. With each victory, he grew more confident. He started to understand that the key to success wasn't just about talent. It was about persistence. It was about pushing through the difficult times, trusting in his abilities, and knowing that he had the power to solve whatever problems came his way. Then, one day, after months of relentless work and countless failures, Michael's breakthrough came. He had been working on a new piece of software that on paper seemed almost impossible to build. He had spent weeks perfecting the code, testing every aspect, and debugging every error. When he finally hit the compile button and the program ran without a single glitch, Michael felt something he had never felt before: pure, unadulterated pride. It wasn't just that the software worked. It was that he had built it from scratch, using every ounce of knowledge he had gained from all the failures that had come before. This wasn't just any software. It was revolutionary. It was unlike anything he had created before. His project had taken on a life of its own, and Michael realized that what he had created was not just functional, but innovative. It was his best work yet, a culmination of everything he had learned and every struggle he had endured. It was the product of a mind that had refused to give up, a heart that had refused to quit, and a spirit that had embraced every challenge with determination. Looking back on the journey, Michael saw that the pain he had experienced wasn't a burden. It was the foundation of his success. Every failure, every setback had shaped him into someone capable of achieving far more than he had ever thought possible. The lessons learned from his struggles had not only made him a better developer, they had made him a stronger person. He had learned the value of perseverance, of pushing through even when the odds were stacked against him. He had learned that success wasn't about avoiding failure. It was about thriving in the face of it. It was about using the pain to fuel growth, to rise higher, and to eventually dominate the field. Michael's journey proves that perseverance through pain isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving. It's about growing stronger with every challenge you face. It's about using failure as a stepping stone and never letting it define you. And ultimately, it's about understanding that the road to success is built on the lessons you learn, the resilience you build, and the persistence you show, even when it seems impossible. Michael's breakthrough wasn't just a success in his career. It was a triumph of the spirit. It was proof that with enough perseverance, you can turn every setback into an opportunity, every failure into a lesson, and every hardship into the strength to rise above. His journey showed him that the true power of perseverance lies not in avoiding the struggle, but in embracing it, learning from it, and using it to build a life that goes beyond anything you ever imagined. No pain, no power. Suffer now, dominate forever. This was the truth Michael had learned, and it was the truth that would guide him through whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 4. The Test of Strength. Now, let's talk about the true test of power, when everything you've built is challenged. This is where the real battle begins, the moment when all the hard work, all the sacrifices, and all the sweat seem to be in jeopardy. This is when the strength you've developed over time will truly be tested. The question is, will you break under the pressure, or will you rise above it? Take the story of Lily, a CEO who had spent years building her company from the ground up. She wasn't handed success on a silver platter. Every milestone, every achievement had come at a price. She had made sacrifices, countless hours of sleep lost, relationships strained, and moments of doubt. But none of that deterred her. Lily believed in her vision and worked tirelessly to turn it into a reality. Her company wasn't just a business. It was her dream. It was her legacy, and she had put everything into making it successful. But one day, the unimaginable happened. A competitor launched a product that was strikingly similar to hers, at half the price. The moment she heard the news, Lily's heart sank. For all her hard work, for all the years of building, she was now staring at a threat that could destroy everything she had worked so hard to achieve. The pressure was intense. Her team was nervous. The investors were concerned. Customers began to question whether her product was worth the price. The weight of the situation pressed down on Lily like 1,000 pounds. For the first time in a long while, she questioned her decisions. Was this the end of her dream? There were moments when she wanted to throw in the towel. The stress was unbearable. The fear of failure consumed her, and the thought of losing everything made her feel like she was suffocating. Every sleepless night felt longer than the last. But Lily knew one thing for sure. She wasn't going to give up. She wasn't going to let this challenge define her. The pain, the fear, the pressure, they could either break her or shape her. And Lily chose the latter. She decided to face the storm head-on. Instead of retreating, she dug deep. Lily spent sleepless nights strategizing with her team, thinking through every possible angle. She knew that this wasn't the time to panic. It was the time to act. She reevaluated her pricing strategy, revamped her marketing, and came up with innovative solutions to differentiate her product. But it wasn't just about changing the business model. It was about lifting the spirits of her team, instilling in them the belief that they could overcome anything together. She communicated openly with her investors, assuring them that she would not let this challenge defeat her. Lily wasn't just sitting back and hoping things would get better. She wasn't waiting for the situation to resolve itself. She took action. She was the one who led her team through the storm, keeping everyone focused on the bigger picture. Every night, while the rest of the world slept, she worked. She pushed herself, harder than ever before, refusing to accept failure as an option. The stress, the fear, the pressure, they didn't break her. They fueled her determination to push harder, to be better. The days and weeks that followed were a blur of meetings, strategy sessions, and constant adjustments. It was exhausting. There were times when it felt like no matter how much effort she put in, the crisis was insurmountable. But Lily wasn't the type to back down. Every setback, every obstacle became a lesson, a stepping stone toward a solution. She turned to her team for support, not just for advice or expertise, but for morale. She knew that this wasn't just her fight. It was their fight too. Then, slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. Lily's innovative strategies started to show results. Sales began to pick up, and customers started to recognize the value in her product again. The competition hadn't been able to match her company's quality and vision. It took time, effort, and an unwavering belief in what they were doing. But Lily's company didn't just survive the crisis. It emerged from it stronger than ever. Her team had weathered the storm together, and the bond they had built made them more resilient than before. The crisis had tested their limits, but it had also shown them their true strength. Looking back, Lily realized that the toughest moments had revealed her true power. She had always been driven by her passion and vision, but in the face of such adversity, she had uncovered a strength she never knew she had. The struggles, the setbacks, the sleepless nights, they were all necessary to unlock that power. It was in those moments of intense pressure, when everything seemed lost, that she had found her true potential. The journey had shaped her into a stronger leader, someone who could handle anything that came her way. The test of strength wasn't just about surviving the crisis. It was about learning and growing through it. Lily's ability to embrace the hardship, to turn it into an opportunity, was what set her apart from others. It wasn't the crisis itself that defined her success. It was how she responded to it. She understood now that the road to greatness is never smooth. There will always be challenges. There will always be moments of doubt. But the true test lies in how you face those moments, in how you rise above them, adapt, and emerge stronger. In the end, Lily's company didn't just survive the crisis. It thrived. She had faced the greatest challenge of her career and come out victorious. The pressure, the fear, the uncertainty, it all became the foundation upon which she built her strength. And now, with every new challenge, she knew she was ready. Because the greatest test of all wasn't in the success she had achieved. It was in her ability to endure, to fight through the pain, and to emerge even stronger than before. The struggles, the setbacks, the pain, it all had a purpose. And now, Lily knew that she was not just a survivor. She was a conqueror. Chapter 5. The Ultimate Victory. The final truth is simple. No matter where you are in life, no matter what you're facing, the pain you endure today will determine the power you wield tomorrow. It doesn't matter how many times you fall, how many times you're knocked down. What matters is how you rise. Success is not handed to you on a silver platter. It's earned through the blood, sweat, and tears you put into your journey. And as you stand on the other side of your struggle, you'll see that everything you endured was part of your transformation. It was never meant to break you. It was meant to make you. Throughout their journeys, Alex, Sarah, and Lily each faced moments when everything seemed impossible, when the weight of their goals and dreams threatened to crush them. But in every one of these moments, they chose to fight back. They chose to keep moving forward, even when their bodies were exhausted and their minds filled with doubt. They understood that the struggle was not the end. It was just the beginning. For Alex, it was the constant battles on the court, the times he felt like his body was giving up on him. But with each painful practice, with every missed shot and failure, he grew stronger. The pain in his muscles, the frustration in his mind, each of these was shaping him, refining him, pushing him toward the version of himself he needed to become. And in the end, it was the pain that gave him the power to dominate the game, to rise above the players who once seemed better than him. For Sarah, it was the countless nights spent working on her business, only to watch it falter time and time again. But with each failure, with each setback, she didn't give up. She dug deeper, worked harder, and turned the pain of failure into the fuel that powered her forward. She faced the hardest moments of her career with an unwavering determination, understanding that it wasn't about avoiding the suffering. It was about using it to become stronger. Today, Sarah runs a business that not only survived its struggles, but emerged from them stronger than ever, proving that pain doesn't just precede victory. It is the catalyst for it. And then there was Lily, a CEO who had poured years of hard work into building her company, only to face a fierce competitor that threatened everything she had worked for. The pressure was immense. The fear of losing everything she had built was overwhelming. But Lily refused to let the pain of potential failure define her. Instead, she used that fear to push herself further, to work harder, to innovate. She faced the crisis head-on, and by doing so, her company emerged from the challenge stronger and more resilient than ever before. She learned that the toughest moments reveal your true strength, that only through enduring the hardship could she unlock her true power. For all three of them, the lesson was clear: suffering is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the moment when you are shaped, tested, and ultimately transformed. The struggles, the setbacks, the failures, they are not there to break you. They're there to make you. If you can push through, if you can endure the pain, you will emerge stronger, more powerful, and ready to dominate every challenge life throws your way. This is the ultimate victory. The realization that every difficult moment, every painful lesson, every failure is a stepping stone on the path to success. The strength you gain through suffering isn't just about surviving the pain. It's about thriving through it. It's about rising above the challenges, taking control of your fate, and understanding that you are stronger than you ever imagined. Whether you're pursuing a career, chasing a dream, or simply trying to be a better version of yourself, remember this: the pain is not there to stop you. It's there to shape you into the person you need to become. The suffering is just the beginning. It's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're on the right track, that you're growing, and that you're becoming more powerful with each passing day. Every time you face adversity, you have a choice. You can let it break you, or you can let it make you. The only way to truly succeed, the only way to truly dominate, is to embrace the struggle, to accept the pain, and to use it to fuel your growth. It's in these moments of hardship that you find your greatest strength. So remember, no pain, no power. Suffer now, dominate forever. Your journey isn't about avoiding the challenges. It's about facing them head-on, overcoming them, and emerging stronger on the other side. The power you gain through suffering is the power that will carry you to the top, that will help you dominate every challenge and rise above every obstacle. The pain you face today is the foundation of the power you'll wield tomorrow. So embrace it. Let it shape you. And when you look back at the obstacles you've overcome, You'll realize that it was never the pain that defined you. It was the power you gained from pushing through it. This is the ultimate victory, the understanding that you are capable of achieving greatness, not in spite of your pain, but because of it. Suffer now, and you'll dominate forever. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.